Alright, what's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong, the founder of InTheImageClothingCompany. Today is the day that it is. Yikes. Today's the 27th of February, 2026. This is a video on InTheImageClothingCompany's main side where we allow the human body to work. Okay, allowing the body to work is our slogan. We're a clothing company, sure, but we're only a clothing company because clothing is the only thing physically placed on the human being. There's only one way the human body could ever work. There's no opinion, no new information, nothing we could take credit for as In The Image Clothing Company. No claim, it's the truth. All the bones in the body are just the shape that they are and the length that they are. Bones connect directly to each other through ligaments, and then there's a thin layer of cartilage called cushioning. Okay, cushioning called cartilage, between the joints so they don't wear out. The joints have to track in line, and the bones only mesh how they do. You know, if our bones aren't meshing properly, we'll wear out that cartilage or the cushioning between our bones. Okay, muscles only pull. The human body only pulls. Is a video I reference often here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. It's also just the case. Even when we think we're pushing, we're just pulling muscles together on the back side of a hinge joint. Like the elbow, the biceps pull to close the elbow, and then the triceps on the other side pull to extend the elbow. We have opposing muscles to all the functioning in the body. There's opposing sides to all the functioning in the body. There's opposition in all things, really. There's only light because there's dark, and only warmth because there's cold. Okay, so our bodies have neutral positions, just like standing up. We're either standing centered or we're on one side or the other from the neutral, which is standing vertical. Okay, we can lean left or we can lean right, and there's a neutral in between both sides of that. Okay, we are on Earth's vertical gravity pull. Earth pulls down on us with gravity. Vertical, perpendicular, or a 90-degree right angle, okay, with the horizontal surface of our planet. So, the body has a center line, okay, the sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw. The jaw stabilizes the entire body, naturally. These things have to stay in the center. We just have to stay vertical. The bones of our body, immovable bone in the center line, like the sternum in the front of our body here, where our ribs connect into, then the ribs wrap around the body and connect into the spine in the center line of the body in the rear. We just have to mesh this center part of our body, the center of our bodies, with Earth's vertical gravity pull. Okay, so leaning left or leaning right, there's a center. Leaning forward or leaning back, there's a center. Putting the wrist up or the wrist down, there's a center, which is straight out the outside of the forearm and out the pinky finger. Okay, there's a lot going on in the body. We discussed the anatomy of the human body in depth here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. There's no possible opinion or dispute to what we say if we're aligning what we say with truth, the design of God. We're designed in the image of God, in the image of Jesus Christ. We're a clothing company for anything that clothes the human being, even glasses, jewelry, but hats, pants, tops, socks, undergarments, shoes, whatever it is, gloves. You put a scarf on maybe when it's cold. Whatever you put onto your body, what happens is we get into chronic patterning as human beings. There's no such thing as posture. There couldn't be. Earth's vertical gravity pull never changes. Earth's horizontal surface never changes. You can go up a hill or down a hill, but you're only going up from the horizontal position, or you're only going down from the horizontal position. There's only one way the human body could ever possibly mechanically, physically operate. Okay, the human body is just mechanics. A video here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. And Dante's here, by the way. Dante was in that video. Dante, my standard poodle. Hey, buddy. He's just laying down. We walked over here, and it was probably close to 2 miles, give or take, to get over here. And so he's just kind of resting. All right. The body has opposing bends. There's no possible way to train posture. It couldn't possibly happen. We're never going to change the shape of bones. Well, there's a video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company here titled Reshaping Bones, but only back to their only normal, neutral, or natural position, because when we get into patterning, scar tissue builds up in the body and bone spurs build up in the body where the muscles are pulling on bones in a position where they're not in line, and then the bones grow unnaturally shaped. So we can get our bodies back to the universal human design, but we'll never get our bodies to do anything. It truly is and always has been, always will be, physically, mechanically, legitimately impossible in all actuality to train the human being to get it to do anything. That's why people keep training their bodies. There's no sales pitch. This is the truth. We discuss it so thoroughly. Over 450 something videos under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company here as of today's date, the 27th of February 2026. Yeah, we have no opinion to this. We just discuss it so thoroughly, but you have to know what's going on, and that's what I'm showing here. Okay, one of the things that we show is this. Okay, we do a lot discussing the anatomy of the human body. But yeah, we get into patterning, and so our bodies just don't work properly. These opposing bends that I'm talking about though, the ankles bend backward, the knees bend forward, the hips bend backward, the low back bends forward, the mid back bends backward, and then the upper back, which is really the neck or the cervical spine, bends forward. It's even mathematical opposing bends, back, back, and forth, to stay vertical atop the earth. Earth's gravity pulls straight down, and Earth's surface is horizontal. Vertical, horizontal, that's a perpendicular angle. The human being's bends have to evenly, in an actual measurable degree, like mathematically, bend back and forth just to stay standing up. There's no possible opinion to how the human body works, and there never possibly could be. Before I was born and after I die, it always has and will be the exact same. It's nothing to do with me. As I say, don't believe me. Evan Strong, the founder in this for life to lead In The Image Clothing Company. Don't believe In The Image Clothing Company's team, even any of our poodles, okay? Just seriously, don't believe us, because truth is truth. We don't get to decide truth. I didn't design my body. You didn't design your body. There's a universal human design. We're all the same. You can have a little bit of a difference to your body. Okay, amputation, deformity, birth defect, major surgery, anything that's altered your body a little bit, quite a bit, sets your body apart from most others, but really you have to be set apart from something. There's a universal human design. The body could only ever possibly do what it can do to move us across the earth with gravity pulling straight down on us, and with our feet supporting our bodies on Earth's gravity's pull. Why is this bird so loud? Is that a starling? I think that might be a starling. Those little birds, they have like these, anyway, wings that are shaped like this bird. You probably didn't see it in the lens. It's a noisy bird. Blunt, bold, raw, and real. In The Image Clothing Company. Hey man. Wow. I'm not upset with him, but sure is a lot of squeaking. Chirping. All right, the body, okay, of the human being, we are needing to have it function, okay, but we've just got opposing bends, and so this is the thing with the hips, is they're in the center of the body vertically, okay, from top to bottom, and at our hips, we have muscles in the front of our body, above our hips, in our abdominal area here. This bird, man. These muscles, okay, are core muscles below our rib cage but above our hips in the front. They pull up on the front of the pelvis or the hip structure, and then those are working with muscles on the rear of our body below our hips on our upper legs, okay? And those muscles pull down on the rear of our pelvis, and that's the same thing. So in the front, muscles pull up, and in the rear, muscles pull down. That's posterior with the pelvis. And then we have the opposite way. In the front, muscles below the hips pull down, and muscles in the rear above the hips pull up. That's anterior rotation with the pelvis. Okay, so posterior, anterior, posterior, anterior, and there's a neutral between the two. Okay, so this video's title, by the way, I didn't say the title of it. That'd be good for you to know. The title of this video is The Feet and Hips When Standing, Sitting, or Sleeping. Because the whole thing is, no matter what we're doing in life, if you're standing, if you're sitting, or if you're laying down, which is how we almost always would be when we're sleeping, there's still a neutral, and the feet's neutral is the same as the hips neutral. So this neutral to the pelvis, or the hip structure, from tucking underneath us, posterior, or rotating away from us in the direction the hips already bend, the neutral between there is the same as the neutral to our feet standing on the surface of the earth. So we've got these things nowadays, heels on shoes. And I don't mean just 3-inch or 6-inch tall heels. I mean even a 1/2-inch heel, even a 1/4-inch heel, even just the slightest elevation under our feet's heels. We've got a lot of videos under in the Image Clothing Company's main site here talking about heels on shoes. Okay, the natural bend in the knee. A video here under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. That'll be changed by putting heels under your feet's heels on man-made shoes. Okay? The natural curve in the spine. A video here under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. Well, the spine's just traveling up from the feet. So if the feet are changed in their natural position, so will the spine be. Okay? We've got a lot of things though. A lot of videos I could reference, but let's do it if and where we do throughout this video, because let's really talk about this. The feet flat on the surface of the earth. It's how they always work. I mean, there was no such thing as shoes at one point, but the human body's always been the exact same. Designed in the image of God, he had to first look like us to design us in his image. And yeah, God is unchanging. Okay, the truth is another name for God, the same yesterday, today, and forever. The truth never changes. Anything that is true is always, has always, always will be true. Okay, we don't get to decide or change truth as human beings. Truth is apart from all of us. Like the fact that we didn't design our own bodies. We didn't design the earth, but someone did. His name is Jesus Christ. So don't believe me, but that's the truth. Don't believe me. Don't believe me. Don't believe me. Here's the point. With the body, there's only one way it could ever work. Don't believe me. It's the truth. Watch this. The feet, horizontal on the surface of the planet, it was always like that. Until human beings designed shoes and decided to take this horizontal position of the feet and put a heel under it. And now we're always pointing our toes. Wow. The natural bend in the knees taken away. The natural curve in the spine's taken away, traveling all the way up the entire body to the jaw, to the tip of the head, to the tips of the fingers. Everything's changed. Slightly. Whatever amount of heel you have under your feet on a man-made shoe. It didn't exist until it did. Okay. So clothing is the point, right? It has to stay centered, fit correct, and be made in all the ways we can from 100% natural materials. That's why we're a clothing company. It's the only thing physically placed onto the human being, okay? But we've got joints of body parts that have to mesh with joints of materials, like the shoulder. We've got 3 bones coming together at the shoulder. We need our joints of our fabric in the same location. You can say the seams of the fabric need to be in the same location as the seams of the bones of the body. It's just got to be in the same location. There's only one way the body functions. Bones can only move where they connect to other bones. They're immovable by themselves. It's just essentially a stick until it connects to another stick, and then where they connect, there's motion. The ribs actually bend, okay? The ribs do have motion to them, even though they're bone. But yeah, the body is just a mechanical machine placed onto this rock in space that is our Earth. There's only one way it could ever possibly function. It's always been and always will be the exact same. Don't believe me, it's the truth. Watch this. The feet, okay, the horizontal surface of the earth is also the term zero drop in any brand of shoe, just meaning the shoes don't drop from your heels down to your toes or from your toes back to your heels, because the surface of the earth is just horizontal. Unless we're going up a hill or down a hill, but horizontal, okay? That's the neutral for the feet. Then we've got lifting the toes, dorsiflexion, or pointing the toes, plantar flexion. So if you've got heels on man-made shoes underneath your feet's heels, you're always constantly pointing your toes. Okay, plantar flexing your ankle joint with the lever of your foot. The human body is only mechanics, that's all it is. The human body is just mechanics, hinges, levers, rotations, operation through just mechanical functioning. That's what the body is, or else it doesn't do anything. And it only does what it does. We could never get it to do anything else. That's impossible. It's physically impossible to train the human body to get it to do anything, okay? No opinion at all that could possibly matter on it, no matter who's trying to say anything. What's the truth of it? The truth is we didn't design it. How does it work? This is how it works. The neutral to the feet is the same as the neutral to the hips, okay? The neutral to the hips is the same as the neutral to the feet. See this rope? I've got a rope around my waist. This white rope is here for a visual, okay? If you can see it, that's the point. There's a truck driving. Oh, excuse me, concrete. Dante, you look comfortable, actually. Our feet and their neutral position is the same as our hips' neutral position. So if we point our toes or plantar flex our feet, it's essentially the same thing, in a way, as rotating our pelvis anteriorly. The way our pelvis already bends. So that's the thing, is if you've got heels on your shoes, you have to travel up. You put your feet into pointing or plantar flexion position from their neutral. It's got to travel up the entire body. It's all connected. The body's a kinetic chain, okay? We've got these opposing bends, ankles backward, knees forward, hips backward, low back forward, mid back backward, and neck forward. And all those opposing bends have to mesh with Earth's vertical gravity pull, or they don't. And we fall over, really. Or we're just in a really deep, excessive bend. And to have the least effect on our bodies from gravity, we just need to be straight up, okay? Slightly bent into our ranges of motion so our muscles can activate into the range of positioning all the bones can move in, okay? Full range of motion, a video here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. There's just a full range to all the motion of the body, and it could never possibly go anywhere else. The bones will hit into each other. So, allowing the body to work, you can never possibly train it. It's truly impossible. You know, I've said things like, try to spend your entire life to disprove what we do under In The Image Clothing Company, and you will not. It's not our choices, it's truth. It's always the exact same. So, if we're standing, our feet are on the horizontal surface of the earth in their neutral position. And so traveling up, our hips will be in their neutral position. The feet can point or plantar flex, or the feet can lift or dorsiflex. The hips can anteriorly rotate, falling lower in the front or higher in the rear, or the hips can posteriorly rotate, coming higher in the front or lower in the rear. And so it's the same thing that's happening from our feet up to our hips because we're standing vertical on earth. That's just how the body works. That's the only way it ever possibly could. Ever. 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 Okay. So, yeah, you don't want to start with heels on your shoes. Otherwise, the rest of your body is completely damaged no matter what. We've got different length toes. This is what I mean. We don't realize things when we do not realize things as human beings. We've got different length fingers. Our fingers are different length than our thumbs. We've got different lengths to our toes. Our toes point up and in like an arrow to the center line of the body. The pinky toes are the smallest, they're shortest ones on the outside. And our feet oppose the center line of our bodies at our very foundation. And they grip arches inward to keep us vertical on Earth. Okay, with its vertical gravity pull. There's only one way the human body could ever work. There's no possible opinion. No possible opinion to it that could ever possibly matter. Okay? I don't have an opinion on it. Standing. The feet and the hips are the same. Okay? The feet are in their neutral position on the horizontal surface of the earth. Then traveling up, our hips are in their neutral position as well, being supported by the feet, because then we have the ankles bending backward, the knees bending forward, and then we get back to the hips bending backward. The same bends are happening at the ankles and the hips. The knees just between the two. So if I were to squat down, for example, okay, I'm wearing the Zero Shoes branded Ridgeway model boots, just for credit on what shoes I'm wearing in this video, because there's branding on them, and I love Zero Shoes, the brand. Okay, I've shouted them out many times before today's date as the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, me, Evan Strong. Watch this. If I get up here and I squat down, the position of the neutral to the bottom of my feet and the neutral to my hips above the feet stays the same. If I just drop down into a squat, my feet stay planted on what I'm standing on, that's horizontal here, just like the surface of the earth, but then my hips also will stay horizontal and just drop straight down. Okay, the feet and the hips when standing, sitting, or sleeping. Watch this. My head will probably be quite a ways out of the frame, but watch my feet and my hips when I squat down. Okay. This thing's relatively narrow, but here we go. Feet neutral, hips neutral. Watch my hips stay neutral as I squat down. Okay, that rope is still horizontal, just like my feet beneath them. And as I stand up, my feet stay horizontal and my hips will stay horizontal and just rise straight up. I'll squat down again. Everything stays horizontal. And I'm balancing on this little like 6-inch beam of concrete. But everything's horizontal, okay? The feet first, then the hips, okay? The feet and hips when standing, sitting, or sleeping. This video under In The Image Clothing Company's main side, the 27th of February 2026. They stay the same. The feet are neutral, horizontal with the surface of the earth beneath them. The term zero drop in any brand of shoe. And then traveling up, the hips are neutral with the feet. And they stay that way from standing to dropping into a low squat. If I stand back up, the hips will stay at the same neutral as the feet beneath them, and I just rise straight up. Okay? Neutrals, okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work. Here's Dante. I told you he was here, okay? He was just out of the frame for the first part of the video. So, there you go, standing, okay? Standing, neutral, feet, release the lever of the ankle. Well, the hinge of the ankle and the lever of the foot, right? Dorsiflexion is lifting the foot, hinging on the ankle. The foot's the lever. Neutral, okay, is the surface of the earth. The term zero drop in any brand of shoe. Pointing the toes, plantar flexion, is, pointing the foot down, being the lever, and hinging on the hinge joint of the ankle, okay? And then traveling up, that's the same as the hips. The hips, neutral, with the surface of the earth. The term zero drop in any brand of shoe, okay? They can come underneath us, posterior, or they can go away from us, anterior. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's in its neutral positions. Okay, keeping elbows at the natural waist. A video here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. Yeah, there's only one neutral. The elbow is just being the radius and ulna in the forearm, traveling up to the upper arm bone called the humerus, and meeting there. that sits above our hip bones and below our lowest ribs, which is our natural waist. That's an area where we actually bend side to side of the spine, at the lumbar spine, the lowest third of the back. That's the only way we can do that, okay? If you try to bend side to side at the hips, a foot has to come off the ground. Okay, so the natural waist. The elbows at the natural waist are the shoulders at their neutral height. The elbows and the shoulders are the same thing, connected through the immovable bone of the upper arm bone, called the humerus. There's only one way the human body could ever work. There's no possible opinion that could ever matter on it, right? I'll be saying these things for the rest of my life because it's truth, not my decision, okay? But the feet and the hips, the thing is with the hips, we've got a similar thing going on, like the wind noise. There's some similar things going on across the planet. There's a universal human design, the feet, and the potential for heels on man-made shoes is something we can talk about, like the hips and the potential for the incorrect angle of waistlines of man-made pant designs. Okay, so pants, we talk about where clothing sits under In the Image Clothing Company's main site here, well, and wherever we do. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled Where Clothing Sits. Okay, we're on episode 204 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. As of today's date, the 27th of February, 2026, that's where we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. You don't have to be religious or believe in anything, because regardless of what you believe in, you had to first be here to believe in something. So how'd you get here? You know, your beliefs can't decide that. That wouldn't work. So there's only truth to life, and we don't get to decide it. So we just give deep insights on life under In the Image Clothing Company podcast. We're all human beings. We're all the same thing, placed on the same earth, designed by the same God. There is a universal human design, and you couldn't dispute that, you know. So there you go. But where clothing sits is something we discuss. We get into it in depth. We give a lot of free modifications in clothing to allow the body to work. That's the only point of clothing in our case, as In the Image Clothing Company, is it's the only thing physically placed on us, and so it just can't alter our bodies. It just has to sit in the proper location. And our pants, for every body who has one, or every one who has a body, it's literal wording, by the way, the gospel of Jesus Christ, the truth of all things, yikes, no claim, don't believe me, pants have to be entirely above our hips. I just discussed it, that's our natural waist. It's the only place we can bend side to side in our bodies. The lumbar spine. Well, I mean, you can bend at your upper spine as well, you know, your neck and at your thoracic spine. But actually at the waist, yeah, you can only bend at the natural waist, side to side. Okay? Yikes. Oh, shoot. So yeah, pants need to be at our natural waist, above our hips, but below those lowest ribs. And then slightly higher in the front than the rear. If we could keep our pants exactly horizontal, always, meshing with the surface of the earth, then that's the ideal. But we say slightly higher in the front than the rear because our hips already bend lower in the front than the rear. Just a hip hinge, like you're doing a bow forward, right, for example. Yeah, that's anterior, that's lower in the front than the rear. And so having our hips not fall that direction with Earth's gravity already just trying to pull down on our bodies to excessively bend it, we have to activate our muscles to straighten up and stand vertical, okay? So we have our pants slightly higher in the front than the rear, ideally, just very slightly, just to ensure they don't ever fall lower in the front than the rear. Well, to try to ensure that, that's the point, okay? Because it's Earth's gravity. Because the feet and the hips, when standing, sitting, or sleeping, should be in the exact same position. That's why. Our pants sit where they do. Okay? So here's the thing. The feet, we point the feet down, plantar flexion, but that's only half of their function. The top of the feet is half of their function. You can only walk by pointing a toe and then lifting a toe and then pointing a toe and lifting a toe, rolling evenly off the end of our 5 different length toes, right? There's only one way the bones are shaped in the feet. Yeah. Okay. There is only one way the feet work. A video I filmed back to back with There is only one way the hands work down in beautiful St. George, Utah in November of 2025. Okay. The bones are only the shape they are. They're only the length they are. Muscles connect two bones through tendons and pull just directly in line. Muscles only pull. Muscle fibers, well, yes, muscle fibers fire and get closer together. Muscles only contract. There's only one way the human body could ever work. The feet, when they grip these arches, the top of them is half the function from the bottom of them, okay? On the lever joint, sure, the hinge joint of the ankle and the lever of the foot. We lift the foot up, dorsiflexion, we point the foot down, plantar flexion. There's a neutral. That's what we're saying in this video, right? It's the surface of the earth. And so the top of the feet, being half their function, that's determined by the top of the shoe. We're lifting our shoes off the ground every time we lift our foot off the ground if we're wearing our shoes on our feet, okay? So, in the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, it's nothing to do with us. We don't get to take credit for it. We don't own it. It's just what we title so you can find the only way the top of the feet are shaped when we weave a rope across the top of them, okay? So there you go. There's a lot going into this because heels on shoes change the angle of the ankle. The angle of the ankle. Shoelacing on the top of the feet change the angle of the ankle. Always stop laces at ankle flexion. A video here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. The angle of the ankle. When we're lacing our shoes up, we need to stop the lacing right where the ankle flexes. Okay, right at that ankle joint. The importance of even ankle flexion, the importance of even Achilles tendons insertions. Yeah. Okay, there's a lot of videos that I could reference under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here. Those are two of them. About the feet and the ankles. Well, that's just the ankles. We have a lot of videos about the feet. I'll reference a few. The height of a gripped arch. Okay, these are each individual videos under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company about the feet. Keeping 2 points of contact in the feet. Keeping feet in the outside of shoes. Keeping heels on the ground. Yeah, okay. Man. There is only one way the feet are shaped. I referenced this other one here. There is only one way the feet work. The feet only work barefooted. Okay? Patterning in the feet. There's some videos about the feet. Here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, that was 8 videos there. So here's the thing. The feet and the hips, they do the same thing. Okay? The feet's neutral is the hips neutral. We've discussed it with standing. Standing is the same thing as dropping into a low squat. And I showed that on this concrete block thing here. Okay? Yes. Now, what about when we're sitting down? Well, I've discussed since the founding of In The Image Clothing Company, the human being doesn't actually mechanically sit in chairs. It doesn't. Not modern chair heights. Okay? The human being is designed to sit on the ground or to squat on the ground or sit on a low rock or a stump of a tree. There's no such thing as chairs until we make chairs as human beings. There's no such thing as shoe designs of any kind unless we make shoes as human beings. There's no such thing as pants unless we make pant designs as human beings. Natural. Okay, natural is the goal under all 4 sides of In The Image Clothing Company. There's no opinion to natural. There's no opinion to truth. The truth is everything's only natural. It's a law, a universal law, a scientific law. It's God's law. Matter cannot be created or destroyed. So all we have is what's already here to use as human beings, natural things that were here before we got here, because even our bodies are natural things. Our bodies are only what we eat, okay? Pulled from the clay, as it says in the Holy Bible. We eat food, and that literally becomes our bodies. That's how you grow from being a little baby to a full-grown adult. Okay? Food is your body. Your body is food. All our bodies are is an accumulation of what we've eaten. It becomes this thing. Okay? In my case, a 6'2" male human being. Okay? Just meaning, yeah, I'm only earth, as we all are as human beings. Everything's only natural. There's no opinion to it. You can't even grow if you don't eat natural things. Unnatural, synthetic, and artificial. Things that are synonyms made by mankind. Okay, we live in this unnatural, modern man-made world placed onto God's natural earth. Nothing unnatural exists because unnatural is just natural that's been altered. That's literal wording there for you. Okay, there's only truth to life, ever. I don't get to decide. No human being does. But there is only one way the human body could ever work. So, yeah. Chair heights. Never existed. There's no such thing as a chair until a human being makes it. And chairs were never like they are nowadays until they were. Okay. The human being doesn't actually sit in chairs. It doesn't. It can't. It physically cannot. We've got muscles on the rear of our upper legs, okay? And they're pulling down, as I showed earlier, on the rear of our pelvis or hip structure, okay? Working in conjunction with or together with the muscles in the front of our bodies, above our hips, pulling our hips up. Pulling up in the front and down in the rear is the same thing, okay? Just as pulling down in the front or up in the rear is the same thing. Muscles cross through the hips in the way they work together. Down in the front, up in the rear, that's anterior rotation of the pelvis. Up in the front, down in the rear, that's posterior rotation of the pelvis. I like to word it as an anterior rotation away from us or a posterior tuck underneath us, because it just straightens us more vertically on Earth's vertical gravity pull. So it tucks under us, the pelvis, when it goes posterior. So when we sit down, half of the muscles that are tucking our pelvis underneath us posteriorly to keep us vertical, opposing Earth's gravity pull, because, by the way, gravity has the same effect on our clothing as it does on our bodies. Okay, clothing is the only thing physically placed on our bodies in the Image Clothing Company. It's about the human body. Okay, it's about the functionality. If we never wore clothing, that would really be the fix, if you will, to patterning being caused by clothing. Clothing just has to be on altering our bodies. It doesn't have to be anything special. It has to be as minimal and light and simplistic as it can be to alter the body the least. That's the point, okay? It's about the body, the human being. The body of the human being and the dogs, okay? Standing, sitting, walking, sleeping, eating, breathing, hydration, everything we do as a human being. We discuss these things and how to do them naturally under In the Image Clothing Company and all four sides where we discuss it, but one of our other fourths is In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. We specialize in purebred standard poodles, but we give information on letting dogs stay natural that applies to all dogs across the earth, and a lot of animals as well. Okay, even like pack mules and horses and whatever animal it could apply to, because it's the same thing as our slogan on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company here for us human beings with allowing the body to work. Letting dogs stay natural is the same approach, because we've got collars, leashes, harnesses, slip leads, bandanas, and anything you could say that you could place onto a dog to clothe the dog with. Anything placed onto something else is clothing something with something. God clothes the fields with grass. Okay? So there you go. Collars, leashes, harnesses for dogs. They need to stay centered and be light, minimal, and not alter the dogs. In all the ways we can have them be made from 100% natural materials, just like our clothing as human beings. There is only natural. I was going to say there was only ever natural, but there still is. We alter natural things and they just decompose back to natural things afterward. Takes some time sometimes. But yeah, so when we sit in chairs, let's talk about this, all right? We're sitting in chairs. The feet and the hips, when standing, sitting, or sleeping. They need to be in the same position. They're neutral. They're the entire body, really. The feet affect the entire body. They're supporting our entire body on Earth's gravity at our lowest point, if you've got them. Okay, if you don't have feet, this video doesn't really apply to you quite the same. There you go, okay? There you go. And maybe not, but then there you go. But the hips, yeah, they're the center of the body. That's where we hinge forward and back. That's what's supporting our body. All the musculature from the feet travel up into the hips. All the musculature from the hands, seriously, travel all the way down into the hips. And from the tip of the head down into the hips, all of our body's connected, okay? When we sit on a chair, don't, please. Your body will be damaged. Well, this is the thing. The muscles on the rear of our upper leg, those hamstring muscles, they're big muscles. They need to work. And muscles only contract, they only pull, they only get closer together when they're functioning through activation, is how this happens, okay? Muscle fibers firing, okay, electrical signals being sent from our brain down our brainstem and out through our whole body. The muscles activate, or the body just flops onto the earth. Okay, gravity just pulls us down if we're not opposing Earth's gravity with our musculature that only pulls. So when we sit in a chair, we're already dropping lower than standing. Okay, and Earth's gravity is already pulling down on us. My voice is already having a harder time to, I'm having a harder time speaking as I sit with weight on my hamstrings on this concrete thing I'm sitting on. It could be a soft chair. It doesn't matter what the surface is that you're sitting on musculature. Now look, when I sit here, what this seat does, if this is just a regular chair, it deactivates my hamstring muscles. The muscles on the rear of my upper legs that are normally pulling down on my pelvis from the rear to keep my pelvis neutral, working with the muscles pulling up on my pelvis in the front to keep me neutral over Earth's vertical gravity pull, okay? So let's do this. Wow, okay. So when I'm sitting here, I'm sitting on my muscles in the height of a chair in modern day, 2026 and going forth, okay? So we're damaging our bodies because the pelvis can't be pulled into a neutral position by the musculature that is behind us, below our pelvis, being those hamstrings, because they're just being cut in half essentially. You put weight on your hamstrings, the whole weight of your body from those up when you're sitting on a chair, and you just deactivate those muscles. And what happens when that happens is they elongate, right? Muscles only pull or contract. So these hamstrings on the rear of the upper leg, when we sit in a chair and it puts weight on our hamstrings, they deactivate and elongate. And now our pelvis isn't being pulled down on in the rear to tuck our pelvis posterior underneath us to stay horizontal with the surface of the earth and the bottom of our feet, right? This video on the main side of In The Image Clothing Company on the 27th of February, 2026. The feet and hips when standing, sitting, or sleeping, okay? The feet are still horizontal if they're on the ground. They need to be. Earth's surface is still horizontal. Earth's gravity is still pulling vertically with a perpendicular or right 90-degree angle, you know, from the surface of the earth to Earth's gravity pull. Anyway, we have to have our feet be on the earth still because they're just the lowest point on our bodies supporting us with gravity, or, well, supporting us on Earth's vertical gravity pull, pulling down on us, okay? Yikes. So, you can watch the rope. Watch the rope if you want to watch the rope. That's why there's a rope around my waist. This white one. Neutral. Horizontal surface of the earth. This is how our hips need to be always. But it's hard to keep your muscles of the rear of your upper leg, these hamstrings, contracted, pulling, activating, or working the only way they do, because that's all muscles do is pull, when you have weight just cutting into them, okay? And so what happens is it takes our hips forward, meaning lower in the front and higher in the rear, into an anterior rotation from the neutral and there's posterior rotation on the other end. So, what'll this do to the feet? The feet affect the hips, but the hips affect the feet. In this position, remember, because it's the truth, not because I'm telling you something, the feet, neutral, horizontal on the surface of the earth, is the same as the hips traveling up. Okay? Horizontal. If the hips rotate anteriorly because the muscles on the rear of our upper legs, the hamstrings, are being cut into by what we're sitting on in a modern man-made chair height position that never existed until it did, an invention of human beings. Okay, yeah. Our pelvis going anterior, lower in the front and higher in the rear, takes our feet and points them into plantar flexion. So now our feet are no longer in the neutral either from the surface of the earth, or zero drop, the term in any brand of shoe, but they're pointing down, plantar flexing, okay? Hinging on the ankle with the lever of the foot, okay? That's just how it works. It's just what's gonna happen when you deactivate muscles by putting weight on them. Sitting in a modern chair height position, okay? So there you go, anterior position of the pelvis. Well, this is a lot of why they started putting heels on shoes, is to mesh with the anterior position of the pelvis that travels down to the plantar flexion of the feet. Now if you put a heel under your foot, it's gonna mesh with the position you're in sitting down when your hamstrings are being deactivated by what you're sitting on, cutting into them. Rotating your pelvis, lower in the front, higher in the rear, which is anterior, okay? So, there you go. Truth, right? There's no opinion. There's only one way the human body could ever work. But the human body doesn't work in modern 2026 very well for most all people. Because if you're sitting down on anything that has weight on your hamstring muscles, you deactivate them, rotate your pelvis, and then you're just going to point or plantar flex your foot as well. Oh my gosh. The 27th of February, 2026, in the Image Clothing Company's main side. This is what we do. It's about the human body. That's the point. Zero shoes, branded Ridgeway model boots that I'm wearing. Okay, just for credit to them. So this is the point. We've gone through two things here rather thoroughly. I am in this for life though, okay? As the founder but leader of In the Image Clothing Company. Yikes, right? The feet and hips when standing, sitting, or sleeping. Okay, so we went over standing and sitting pretty well. Actually well, I mean, that's thorough, that's very thorough. There's just no opinion, this is what I mean. You can't possibly train your body to do anything. But if you're spending a lot of your life just sitting in a chair, you're just deactivating your hamstrings. And they need to work just to work, okay? They're there. The human body can't compensate. Everything in the body has a different role to play, an individual function, different from everything else in the body. So no compensation can happen because of that reason. Things are just playing a different function. The human body can only ever work activated as a whole. This is the point. You couldn't possibly train it. If we never altered the human being, God designed the human body to work. Animals don't stretch. They don't work out, okay? The only end is to allow God's design of the human being to work, or to let God's design of the dog stay natural. That's the only end, because they're only what they are. We'll never change our bodies. We'll never change the length or shape of bones naturally. I mean, surgical procedures, sure, but right? No. We're never going to change the length or shape of the musculature or how it connects to the bones. There's only one way the human body could ever work. There's no possible opinion to it ever. Okay, no, yeah, there's no possible opinion that could matter about it, okay? What I'm saying is, sleeping is the other the other thing to discuss in here, okay? Standing and sitting. Now let's talk about sleeping. I don't really know where I'm gonna lay down for the video's sake, for the visual. I can discuss it at least. Maybe I'll lay down somewhere. Dante's laying down, but he's different. Dogs have spines that are horizontal. Human beings' spines are vertical, okay? So their bodies work different than ours in ways, okay? But very similar in a lot of ways as well. Context, okay, there you go. But here's the thing. We have sleeping, where now we've got our bodies. Oh, there you go. Wow, I love that. That was a great segue into what I'm saying. I didn't mean to say that because I was going into this right now. I didn't think it through. It just kind of happened. That's awesome. That's exactly what I'm saying with sleeping for human beings. This other third, those are basically the only three things we do. We either stand or we sit or we sleep. Really, okay? Stand, sit, or lay down is really all the human being does, because squatting is just a lower standing. It's the same positioning in most all of the entire body, just bent into deep ranges of motion, okay? As I showed earlier when I squatted on this ledge. Yeah, standing and squatting are basically the exact same thing. Whoa, my goodness. That was actually very close to me falling backward. This ledge is just a lot shorter than my feet, so I don't have full support on it when I'm standing there, because the feet arches only grip how they do. Seriously, that's what I'm saying. And what I'm saying with sleeping is, when we're sleeping, we need our hips to be neutral and then our feet to be neutral as well, just like standing. And just like sitting in any way we could sit, the body just has to stay in its neutrals. There's only a neutral to everything, so if we're not in our neutrals, we'll be out of our neutrals. You know, like when I sit here, what happens is, not only does my pelvis go anterior out of its neutral, and my feet point out of their neutral, but then my wrists drop out of their neutral, my shoulders drop out of their neutral, and the whole body, the curve in my spine is out of its neutral, everything traveling up, the jaw stabilizing the entire body is out of its neutral. Okay, there's only one way the human body could ever work. No possible opinion that could ever matter about it. Before I was here and after I die, it's the exact same, okay? So, when we're sleeping, it's just the same as standing. The hips are still neutral, meshing with the feet being neutral. Okay, and there you go. So we sleep with no pillow, because if you want to stand vertical in life when you're awake, okay, or when you're asleep, I guess, but when you're sleeping, if you're laying down, yeah, standing when you're asleep, huh? Maybe. If you're sleeping though and laying down, you need this neutral position through your whole body still, just like you're standing with what we could call good posture. There's no such thing. Even mathematical opposing bends from the feet up to the tip of the head when standing with our arms down at our sides is how it happens. As a human being, there's only one way the human body could ever possibly, physically, mechanically operate. It is impossible, physically impossible, to train the body, to get it to do anything. It always has been, it always will be. Spend your entire life trying to disprove what we do under In the Image Clothing Company, and you will not. It's the truth. Always, okay? It's nothing to do with me, other than I'm explaining it, but anyone could, okay? Man, seriously. Okay? If we want to stand vertical in daily life, you don't want to sleep with a pillow under your head, pushing it forward. Okay? Because you'll spend 8 hours a night, if you sleep for 8 hours, with your head being pushed out of its neutral position by a pillow. And then you'll wake up and try to stand vertical in daily life. So the thing is, the hips are the head, okay? Between the base of the skull and the top of the pelvis in the rear is our spine. So if we push our head forward, we also take our pelvis anterior. But then we would have to essentially also point our feet, okay? And that's the position so many people are in life, because it's all the same thing. Pant waistlines falling lower in the front, heels on shoes, and sleeping with a pillow, pushing your head forward. Now you've got your hips in an anterior position, your ankles pointed or plantar flexed from their neutral. Oh shoot, it's just as real as it gets. And then up at your head, you've got your head forward from its neutral, because you put a pillow under your head when you sleep. Okay, so a pillow under your head when you sleep changes the natural curve in the spine down to the hips, and it makes the hips go anterior. Okay, head comes forward from a pillow behind the head, and the hips go anterior, falling lower in the front and higher in the rear. But traveling down, the feet go into plantar flexion or pointing of the toes. So this is the quote posture unquote we see people having in life. And these are a lot of the reasons why it's like it is, because there's no possible way to ever train posture. We just have to stay standing vertical on Earth's vertical gravity pull, with the bones of our body only connecting the way they do and will, and it'll never change. It couldn't possibly. Physically, it's physically impossible to train posture. But, so when we sleep, that's the point. You have to sleep with your body neutral, just like you're standing neutral. There's only a neutral. It's the shape of the bones of the body. Okay? You're not going to reshape your bones to something else. It's not going to happen. Okay? No. Right? That's what no. It's not going to happen. That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. There's only one way the human body could ever possibly work. Ever. Possibly, that's it. Ever. That's it. That's it. You've got to start with your feet on the ground, because they always would be, unless we had modern man-made shoe design with heels on the shoes. You've got to start with your pelvis just unaltered, as if you never wore pants. And what that is the pant waistline being the same angle as the surface of the earth beneath it. Okay? But slightly higher in the front than the rear is great for the pant waistline, because then if there's anything like a little bit of a weight on a belt buckle in the front, now you're just an anterior rotation of the pelvis, and you're not neutral because there's a little bit of weight on the front, right? Anything like this that could possibly change the angle slightly of the pant waistline, it'll almost always, in every case, just about every case, drop the pants lower in the front than the rear, and that's just anterior with the rotation of the pelvis. That's the way our hips already bend. Okay? So yeah, there you go. We have to have the body from not only the tip of the head to the feet, because really the tip of the fingers, when we raise them above our head to our feet, is the whole length of the body. The tip of all extremities to all extremities in the body, though, the entire body from head to feet, from hands to fingertips to toe tips to feet, the whole thing has to be just unaltered, as if we never wore clothing, as if we never deactivated muscles for extended periods of time, which can't physically, mechanically happen, have the body work just about at all. It's just extremely in a constant state of compensation and struggling to work, with things like sitting in a modern chair height with weight against our hamstring muscles on the rear of our upper legs, just deactivating them. And so There we go. It's probably time to wrap this up. Anyway, all these things and anything else, I'm gonna walk away. Come on, Dante. Yeah, we'll come back for this stuff. Let's just walk a little bit of a way over here so that I can keep speaking this with not as much noise from that engine that he just started. What I'm saying is, when you're sleeping, you have to have your hips horizontal, the same position as your feet, just like when we're standing or just like if you're sitting. And so this is the point with sleeping positions, is your feet angle has to just be neutral from that lifting of toes or pointing toes, okay, dorsiflexion or plantar flexion. So if you're laying on your back, your feet have to be pointing straight up to the ceiling or to the sky. And then your hips traveling up from your feet have to be just neutral with the pant waistline in the same position as if we were standing and the waistline was horizontal with the surface of the earth, although our bodies now, instead of being vertical when we're standing, are horizontal. And so the pant waistline would actually be vertical, if you can see what I mean. So what I'm saying is, what I have said since the founding of In The Image Clothing Company, the things that are not my choice. As I've said many times in this video, there is only one way the human body could ever work. And so anything we choose to clothe the human being with, it just has to be placed on the body in a way that's not going to alter the body. There you go. That's it. There's no breakthrough. There's no new information. That's just what it is. There's no claim under In The Image Clothing Company, you know. Universal truth. Good boy, Dante. Anyway, so we just have to do all we can to keep our bodies unaltered. Okay, and that's it. So that's really what we do here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, is we get out of chronic patterning, scar tissue, bone spurs, problems built up in the body, because we've got things like oversized clothing, imbalances in clothing of any kind, and there are many in modern day. And the clothing design is shipped across the entire earth in ways it never could have possibly been in the past. So we're in universal patternings from universal clothing designs. But then also things like ropes, shoelaces, or drawstrings introduced to the body, anything like that, tied one side over the other on or around the body. Man, I'm trying to shield the wind a little bit for the sake of the audio, but oh, I don't know if that was a cat or a rabbit. It's a cat. There's some dogs. Hey, Dante, come. I scared him a little bit. It's okay, Dante. They're in a fence, but they startled him. Hey! I like basically never whistle at him. I don't know why I whistled at him right there, but you come? Good. Okay, so yeah, there you go, right? We tie one side of a rope over the other side of a rope and place it around the body. We're twisting the entire body. They're still neutral always. So we discuss a lot of things under In The Image Clothing Company. Tops, by the way, right? I discussed shoes, I discussed pants in this video, where they sit. Tops sit with the seams on top of our shoulders, evenly behind the peak of our shoulders, and then the edge seams right at the very edges of our shoulders, just that joint of material with the joint of the body parts. Collarbone or clavicle meets the humerus or upper arm bone, and the scapula or shoulder blade. Those three bones become the shoulder. That's right where our edge seams need to be, as close to that as we can get. And there you go. Okay, that's how our clothing needs to be on our bodies. The shoulders only ever work behind the head. That's just where they work. Okay, mechanically, because that's where the muscles connect. That's how the bones connect to each other. Okay, shoulders follow shoulder seams because of gravity, you know, and the clothing is just physically placed on us. And so with our shoulders only ever working behind our head, we need the top seams of our shoulder seam. Okay. Yeah. To sit evenly behind the peak of the shoulders. Evenly behind the peak of the shoulders, just slightly, for our top seams of our clothing. Otherwise, the shoulders are so chronically damaged, traveling down to the feet and the fingertips and the whole body. Okay. So, yeah, if we alter our bodies, we alter our bodies, okay? We just can't. So, In the Image Clothing Company, music is another one of our fours where we make a lot of music, rhythm and poetry, lyricism, spoken word, singing, guitar playing, geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ with the messages. We show the sizing and setup of guitar to not alter the body, like that neutral wrist straight out from the pinky finger, and that natural rounding to our hands that correlates with the arches in our feet. If the hand arches are altered, the feet arches will be altered. And if the feet arches are altered, the hand arches will be altered as well. I was gonna like talk through this tunnel, but anyway. Or yeah, that tube there. Pipe thing. Okay, there you go. That's what we'll say in this video. This is a really big video, information-wise. This is awesome. And it was so cool to be able to show the visuals like that on that seat. There's no claim, you know, we discussed under In the Image Clothing Company, like I had said in this video, the human being doesn't actually sit in chairs. You'd have to sit on the very edge of the chair to keep your hamstring muscles off of what you're sitting on so you don't deactivate those muscles. We've got the bottom of our pelvis, the ischium, right? Those bones on the bottom of our pelvis, right? Those sit bones underneath our glutes. We sit on those bones naturally on the ground, but if you sit in a moderate chair height, you're cutting your musculature of your hamstring in half, deactivating your body, just making an imbalance in the hip structure. Anyway, there you go. There you go, and there you go. We're gonna get out of here. Thank you. 27th of February, 2026 is today's date. I am in this for life, okay? There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled I'm in this for life, spoken by me, Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. I am trying to shield the wind a little bit, but yeah, there you go. Okay, we're gonna be doing a lot of cool things. Oh, well, Dante and I will move down to St. George, Utah. We're in Utah County right now, about 3.5 hours north of St. George, Utah, but it's a true desert. Beautiful red rock, sandstone, kind of a barren wasteland in an amazing way, because we live up Utah doing so much under what I call the gift of video on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. We will be doing a lot in nature, and so that's why you would need to know, if you want to, right, that we will be moving down to St. George, Utah in just a couple months, within a couple months from today's date. Okay, the 27th of February, 2026. So there you go. Poodle Parade events, right? We do events where we do it is the state of Utah. But under In the Image Clothing Company, In the Image Clothing Company poodles, specifically things like Clean the Creek or Rid the Rubbish, specific subcategories of what we title Poodle Parade events. You can bring your poodles, purebred of any size or mixed poodles of any size, here to the state of Utah, wherever else we go with events. But our focus location-wise under In the Image Clothing Company is the state of Utah. You know, things for the environment though, like picking up trash. That's the point of the titling of Clean the Creek or Rid the Rubbish, specific type Poodle Parade events. But we'll get people into nature and dogs into nature. Just don't come for In the Image Clothing Company's team. Come for the events, the reason we're doing them, and it'll be great. Okay, so there you go. That's what I'll say for now. Shout out to Dante, just being such a good dog. Or is he in the frame is what I'm wondering. Yes, okay, good. And thank you, goodbye.